Hello again, YouTube. Gabo here, and I'm doing now the part 5 of my tutorial on how to multi-boot on a Mac. Okay, so now we're gonna discuss, and till now I pretty much made some hinty and preparation and tips about how to set up, to prepare to the setup, and now I'm willing to do a more step-by-step thing. Okay, so I need you to now watch closely, and please, if you didn't watch already, you probably should uh, watch part 4, part 3, and yeah, part 2. You can skip part 1 because that's more of a discussion. And okay, so let's see it. Well, to now I'm gonna delete that. To now we planned, and I'm going to discuss plans with you. Okay, so to now we have something like that as our plan. Okay, so and well, in the last part of part 4, in the in the ending, I guess I told you that you can install Windows very easily with the help of Boot Camp. And if you did that, I guess, if you did that, you should have, and if you followed my tips of how to partition, come on, uh, you you should know that I'm using my HDD external drive here to show you how to partition on disk utility, but I'm not applying it right here because obviously it will mess with my setup. And if you can see, I have like 270 gigs of stuff here already, so I can't format it to show you, sorry, anything. So if you are following my guide, you should have something like that. I told you to put 70 gigs there on your Mac partition, but you can put as much as you want actually, but be aware that I told you to do that not because I want you to have the biggest Windows partition on my Mac I ever seen, but just because your Macintosh partition will be the second one, and all your Linux and Windows and other OS's partitions will follow that as third, fourth, fifth. Okay, so if you if you if you follow my guide, you will have in the end something like this, not like this because this is messed up. So something like a Mac, FreeBSD, Windows Data, Sebayon, Linux Mint, Ubuntu, or Linux. Okay, as you can see, in information screen, you can see that the disk identifier is marked as disk 0 because it's the the first disk on my computer, okay, and S meaning slice, I guess, okay, 2. So this is the second partition on my 0 disk, and if you come here and get information of your mine, actually external drive, you can see that this disk identifier is marked as the 2, the second disk 2, and slice 2, okay, and just for giving an example here, this is slice 3, partition 3, and this is partition 4 of my external HDD. Okay, so now every time I get off of this partition screen, they obviously will back where there is no messed up schemes here, and I have to do that again. But well, either you have this, okay, if you I mean, if you fastly, I guess fastly, if you just follow my advices to use Boot Camp to help you install Windows, either well, you should have this now, okay, or you have something like that. And well, if you have either, I don't care very much, because what we're going to do now is actually make the setup of your partitions to look like pretty much like mine. Okay, so that's our plan. Okay, that's our plan. We want Mac OS X, we want Windows, and for this setup, and since it's more difficult to do, we're going to call it XP Windows, okay? Windows XP. And a 32-bit, okay? Because probably you have a, and this is very important actually, but probably you have a, if you if you're running Snow Leopard or maybe Lion, obviously you have a 64-bit macOS, okay? But I advise you to do not use the 64-bit XP edition, okay? Because it's they say it's very buggy, it's very incomplete, and I don't know if you, obviously if you have a license for it, you can try. Bootcamp will help you obviously on installing drives and stuff, and maybe this works for you, but I used my, like I said, my old installment of 32-bit XP. That's what I have. That's what I have, and it's running pretty softly, pretty smooth. Okay, so I advise you to get that, or Vista 64, or Windows 7 64. I don't care. But if you're using XP, you need to follow my guide very closely, because it's gonna get pretty ugly if you don't. Okay. Noises on my window. Okay. So, and let's say we will get these 3 Linux installments, okay? So we will get, for the purpose of this guide, Ubuntu installment, Linux Mint installment, and you don't even know what Sabayon is, so I will run with open source. No, sorry. Let's just do that, okay? Let's say it's no, okay. Let's put Sabayon there because you can choose. Yes, we will choose something you like, you seem fit, but the main goal here is to have at least 3 installments, okay? And I'm trying to make I'm trying to make this plan a little more like I did on mine, uh, trying to make it look like a mine partition scheme, not just a plan. Okay, so here, and you don't know that, Mac, when you install Mac, and that's why if you come to, oh crap, you come to the information stuff, you can see that this is disk 0/2 partition 2, right? So where is partition 1? I ask you. Well, partition 1, as also known as disk 0S1, okay, is your EFI system partition. So your EFI system partition is something macOS can't, not by conventional means, can't see, although it's formatted as FAT, okay. I can put that there, FAT32. That's if you come here, click erase, you can see that this is the one that's actually this is the format, file system format that your EFI partition is, but your system can see it because it can get pretty messy if you mess up with it, if you put anything there, if you mount it wrongly on your system. And you know, Apple devs, they tend to prefer a more user-friendly, a more conventional, and a more no nerd and no hard user um, type of OS, aka this one, and then they don't say it exists. But if you use, and well, if you don't know this tool now, I'll tell you. This is a terminal window, and basically what a terminal window is a place on your system where you run commands from. So actually all your desktop and all things graphically you see here are running as commands on a terminal. That's it. It's a terminal. It's a Linux BSD and Mac are that are all based on Unix systems. They are multi-terminal systems. Okay, so what this means is that if you can run from a single computer, a single processing unit, multiple um, and different terminals, and even from different persons. Okay, different people can run commands on a single CPU, and in an enterprise scale that is very important because you can use a server or a center computer to run almost everything from from many hosts. Okay, so if you want to understand that more deeply, you can go online or Google and just look it up. Okay, so this is our terminal here. As you can see, I'm logged in as Gabo, okay, on MacBook Pro, and I'm now on top of my home directory. Okay, so if I list it and use ls command to do that, if I list it, you can see all my stuff there. These are other directories. Okay, and now I'm gonna use sudo, which you probably want to get familiar with, and the command gdisk, which is the application we installed before, gdisk, and we're gonna command gdisk to open and manage the directory. You may say that, but well, your disk. Okay, so the disk, your disk may be 0 normally. 0 will be your main disk, but depending on your setup, and if you're running on an iMac, which can have more than one HDD, maybe the main local where your or Mac OS X is installed can vary from 1 to 0 to 2, I don't know, but you can easily find that out if you use that command here, df, okay, enter, and you can see there, you can't actually, I guess, you can see there that my disk 0s2 is mounted on my root, and that's root for macOS, okay? And my other system partitions, my other OS's partitions are mounted as volumes and Sabayon, volumes and Linux Mint, and they all are on the same disk, okay, 0, okay? So you can df and look that up, okay, and find out which partition you're running on, okay, or partition or disk, okay. So, and you're gonna put there dev, slash dev slash disk 0 or another number, and hit enter. they're gonna ask you for your password. Okay, since you're administrator and you have a password, you can log in and use your gdisk utility. And mainly what gdisk do is manage and partition and do whatever with your drive, but we are not doing that with the gdisk, since we can do with disk utility, but we can grab some information here. Okay, so if you type P and hit enter, well, if you type enter the question symbol, you can see lots of comments. Okay, will be printed on your screen, and you want to hit P, type P to print the partition table you are on. Okay, so you're probably not gonna have this, and if you do, you just follow through my guide, and you have already made all the stuff work. Okay, so well, this is what I'm gonna show you. The number one partition is an EFI system partition, like I said, and well, gdisk is able to see it and actually change it and do whatever with it, but you can see on your system, on your Finder. And the number two, as you can see here, is your Macintosh partition, and probably to now you have only those two: the first EFI system partition, which you can call ESP, and your Macintosh. Okay, and probably your Macintosh will be up to a for that much here, that much. Okay, well, and you can type Q and enter to just leave, and let's see here, because now we're gonna have some work. Okay, so our main plan is to not ignore this completely, but have a partition with Mac OS X, which will still be the second one. Okay, so let's do something like that. P1 is your EFI, P2, P stands for partition, is your macOS. Okay, that's what you like. No, let's call it the right way. Okay, because that's the name of it in Macintosh, not actually in Linux, because in Linux they call it SDA and not disk 0. That's the ASDB, SDC. But here we're gonna call how Mac calls it. And here's a tricky one, because if you put, like I said, if you put your XP installment on disk 0 S3, you may have some problems to make it work after you made all the other system installations, because as I said, Windows XP will be booting in BIOS mode, okay, and not EFI mode. And that means it will only see and know uh, for whatever reason uh, four, a maximum of 4 partitions, and will ignore completely uh, the the fifth, the 60, and so on, other partitions. Okay, so either we can put we so we you should put here another uh, another partition and leave the 4 partition to Windows. If you're installing Vista, like I said, or Windows 7, you won't have that problem. But since I like Windows XP very much, I'm using that, and that's the way I found out to work around it. So disk 0 S3 can be either the Linux swap partition, and I will say what that means later, or uh, another OS booting in BIOS mode. Okay. Uh, if you want an OS booting in BIOS mode other than Windows XP, you can grab this spot for it. And on my situation, this is FreeBSD, a BSD based, probably the main BSD nowadays that is available for normal desktop users. And you can grab the spot to BSD, which would boot on BIOS, and I didn't find out how to boot it on EFI. I know it exists, but it's very difficult, and I'm not willing to take risks, because with you, I mean. And if you don't want FreeBSD here, you can, I don't know, you can put another installment of Windows there, but if you do that, I'm gonna go 7, but you probably don't need this. Okay, you can put there a Linux swap easily, or you can leave 18 or 17 gig there of space to put installment of, I don't know, Kubuntu, because Kubuntu is a Linux that's not booting very easily on EFI, or OpenSUSE. Actually, I don't know if Kubuntu boots in EFI at all. Okay, so Kubuntu is basically Ubuntu, but in another desktop environment, and you should do your homework to look it up if you want, because I can't actually spend 6-7 hours of telling you all the features and treats and downsides of every distribution of Linux, because that's a very there's several distributions. Okay, so you can use either Windows or FreeBSD or whatever other OS that's just booting on BIOS mode. Okay, and I advise you completely and clearly to have that planned out before you mess up with your partition tables, because if you don't, and if you just leave there a Linux swap, a space to Linux swap, which we're gonna call it a 6 gig space, okay? Maybe 5 gig, but let's say 6 gig space, since here we have a 60 gig space. And here we have not much, can easily ignore this much of space, okay? If we have disk 0, which can load oh crap, 500 gig. If this is our disk 0, we can easily grab 6 gigs here, okay, to Linux swap, or make it even bigger to fit a BIOS OS, okay? So you have to make that decision. I won't be doing for you, and but I will teach you how easy it is to set up either setups that you do.